Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Max. So I hope you're all staying safe and well out there. So of course, before I go into talking about the preview for the game against Borussia Dortmund tomorrow night, of course, at St James's Park, as we take on a German side in Borussia Dortmund, of course, at St James's in the third match day of the Champions League. I do have to talk about the recent news, of course, and the recent update on the Sandro Tonali situation that is going on right now. Of course, if you've been living under a rock, then there is 40 players in football right now that are, of course, involved in a betting scandal. It's not just the Serie A, it's all around football. 40 players involved in it, but of course, we've only heard of 3 players mentioned in this 40-player scandal. And of course, Sandro Tonali is one of the players. Now, it's been talked about that Sandro Tonali could get a ban, of course, because it's being said that he has bet on AC Milan matches when he was at AC Milan. He wasn't playing in the games, but he has bet on them according to reports from Italian media, of course, that he has bet on the games. But the update today, of course, on this whole betting, illegal betting scandal, shall we call it, of course, is coming from the Italian media, and they're predicting that federal prosecutors, of course, are meeting with Sandro Tonali in Rome on Monday. They did, of course, for what amounts to a plea bargaining, an announcement confirming that the player's punishment for involvement in illegal sports betting is expected in the coming days, and it is still predicted it will prevent the player from facing Dortmund on Wednesday. But there is still no reports, and Newcastle, of course, do play Dortmund tomorrow. So UEFA have said that if this announcement is coming out, then it's got to come out, of course, before tomorrow. But we haven't heard anything about it today, bar the fact that, of course, they're saying that it will be a figure of 10 months. That's been what has been repeated by several Italian media outlets. Quite a few different outlets here in the UK as well have been talking about this, but it's unclear yet whether this has, of course, any basis in the fact, of course, of if he will be given such a long ban. And if he is given such a long ban, is it fair to give him that kind of ban? In my opinion, I'd say no, because and not purely down to the fact that, we'll be losing Sandro Tonali for a massive amount of time, because obviously that is a factor in this. But other than that, is the fact that what's it going to achieve giving the lad a big massive ban? He's going to end up then, being sat at home, just completely bored out his brain. He's going to probably end up, betting again. At the end of the day, they're saying the lad's got a gambling addiction, so what's it going to achieve by, giving him a 10-month ban, giving him even a 7-month ban? Let's just say it like it is, come out and at most give him a 1-month ban. At the end of the day, the lad knows what he's done. He knows that, it wasn't the right thing to do. And let's face it, there's far worse crimes out there that he could have done. At the end of the day, we've seen with the likes of Mason Greenwood, in Man United, he did some pretty bad crime, and he is playing football for Taffy, in the Spanish league. We've seen it with the likes of Anthony as well. He is being accused of some very bad crimes, and he's getting to play for Man United. So, what Sandro Tonali's done, yes, it's not good, it's bad, but at the end of the day, it's not nearly as bad as what some of them players have done, and what they are being accused of doing as well. So, at the end of the day, give him a small ban, but don't give him a massive ban like that, because that is just not going to help the lad. The right way, in my opinion, to go about it would probably be, and my brother said the same thing, give him maybe a deduction on his wage, and then that deduction goes to a charity, that way, then it's, the players having to pay for what he has done, but it's then going to somebody that is going to, benefit off of that by charitable means, somebody is going to benefit off of that. Of course, the player wouldn't get any praise for that, but it would mean that, the money is then going into helping people, and it will be something positive coming out of something that is obviously a negative thing. But at the end of the day, moving away from that, of course, Newcastle are already looking at plans in case Sandro Tonali does get that ban, which does look like he is probably going to get a ban. But Newcastle are already looking at plans, according to reports going around. We're looking to alleviate the issue by signing a similar player in the January transfer window. Of course, Pete Graves last night held a event in Newcastle, of course, for his new book signing, and he had, of course, Eddie Howe and Kevin Keegan at the event, and of course fans were able to ask some questions of Eddie Howe, and one of the fans asked about, of course, would we be looking at signing Calvin Phillips, a player that has been linked with Newcastle United. And of course, Eddie Howe said that was a player that he was interested in. It was a player, that he does look at in a good light. And it is a player, that if the opportunity did arise to go in there and get the player, then, we could go in there and get him at the end of the day. But the reason I bring that up is purely down to the fact that there is now news coming out today that, of course, Man City are looking to move Calvin Phillips on. He's obviously not been a favoured player at the Etihad by Pep Guardiola. He's found it very hard to find his place in Pep Guardiola's pecking order at the Etihad as well for Manchester City. And of course, they're saying that he will see out what games he's got, and then of course they will look to offload him in January, be it a loan, be it a permanent deal. But of course, this could be, an option for Newcastle to jump in there, and bring in a player like Calvin Phillips. Now, yes, he's not been doing great at Man City. He's found it hard to, like I say, get into the pecking order at Pep Guardiola's Man City side. But, before he went to Man City at Leeds United, he was a really good player. He was shown potential. He was shown promise as a player as well. And he will be desperate for the much needed playing time. He needs to get that regular playing time, of course, for to be in contention for that Euro 2024, of course, next summer. So he would be happy, I'm sure, to come and join Newcastle United, slot into the Newcastle United squad. Of course, he will have to earn his place. Nobody is given their place here. You've got to earn it in Newcastle United, and that is something that I absolutely love about Eddie Howe, that, he makes sure that players earn their place. He doesn't just give them it on credit at the end of the day. He doesn't give it just because of their name, of course. So he would be alongside the likes of course, Bruno, Joe Linton and Sean Longstaff as well. So that's some pretty tough competition there for Calvin Phillips to find his way into the squad. But I do think, if he could show that promise that he showed at Leeds United, show that potential he showed at Leeds United before he went to Man City as well, then I do believe we could see a really good player there, and we could get maybe a good deal on him as well. If Man City, of course, were willing to take a cut on the money, because it's just not working out there for the player. It's just not working out for Man City neither. But moving away from that, let's talk about, of course, the game coming up tomorrow night, of course, against Borussia Dortmund. Now, looking at this game, unlike the Parisians' counterparts, the visitors have taken their full 3,000 allocation of tickets for this game. Borussia Dortmund are well and truly up for this. We know they've got a strong fan base. We know they've got a strong support as well, with them boasting probably one of the biggest supports in Europe, alongside the likes of us, of course, with their massive yellow wall at the Signal Iduna Park, of course, in Borussia Dortmund, Germany. And it's going to be an 8 o'clock kickoff live on TNT Sport 2 for this one. Elsewhere in our group that night, of course, will be PSG hosting AC Milan. And, of course, looking at Borussia Dortmund going into this game, they just recently played at the weekend against Werder Bremen, only managing to get a 1-0 win against a team that are down in the relegation positions of the Bundesliga as well. And while we are coming into this one on the back of a massive 4-0 win against Crystal Palace at the weekend, and of course we're coming into this on the back of an 8-game unbeaten run as well in all competitions. Borussia Dortmund, of course, are coming into this one with a pretty good run of results as well. They finished second in the Bundesliga behind Bayern Munich last season, denied the title only on goal difference, and of course they have also got a pretty good run of form as well. They extended their unbeaten domestic league record to 16 games, losing, of course, since losing at Bayern Munich in April, and just that single reverse in the 27 Bundesliga outings, of course. But they're not doing too well in Europe at the moment. So far in the Champions League, Dortmund have beaten, of course, PSG 2-0 in Paris and held to a scoreless draw by, of course, by AC Milan. So it's not looking good so far for Borussia Dortmund. But looking at it, this is going to be an interesting game. Surely it will be a massive, interesting game. This is two really good fan bases, of course, for both sides. So we're going to have a really good atmosphere going inside St James's Park for this game. And looking at, of course, our team going into this, Harvey Barnes, unfortunately, alongside Sven Botman, will miss out, while it's anticipated that Sandro Tonali will have started his ban by Wednesday. But like I say, there hasn't been any news of yet on the ban. So we'll have to see on that one. But he has been seen training alongside his colleagues today at Darsley Park. Having Manquillo, Emil Kraft, Matt Ritchie and Mark Gillespie were all omitted from Newcastle's Champions League squad, while Joe Willock is back in training but not match fit. While these two sides have never previously met, several current Magpies are no strangers to Dortmund, of course, with Alexander Isak being part of the Dortmund squad during 2017 and 2019, mainly for the B team, while Fabian Schär and Joe Linton both faced Dortmund in the Bundesliga, while with Hoffenheim, the latter, of course, netting against them. Kieran Trippier was also started for Spurs, both home and away to Dortmund in the Europa League, with Spurs back in 2016, twice facing, of course, on the end of the losing side. A year later, of course, he watched from the bench as Spurs won home and away in the Champions League and was similarly unused the following season as the Cockerels collected another 6 points in the same competition. Julian Reisen hasn't travelled due to illness. Of course, looking at it as well, the referee for the game will be Artur Diaz from Portugal and Tiago Martins on VAR from Portugal. So it'll be Portuguese officials. Looking at the stats going into the game, of course, this will be Newcastle's 14th Champions League home fixture, with the previous 13 bringing 8 home wins and 5 losses. We are yet to draw a game at St James's Park in this competition. This will be only the third occasion that a side from the Bundesliga has played competitively at St James's Park, of course, with the 2001-2002 game against 1860 Munich, where Newcastle won 3-1. Then the 2002-2003 season, where we played Bayer Leverkusen and won 3-1 in the Champions League. Of course, the Intertoto Cup was for the Bayern 1860 Munich game. Newcastle have never lost to a German side in any cup competition, and here, of course, we have the away record, of course, with 2001-2002 being 1860 Munich, where it was a 3-2 win against them in the Intertoto Cup. 2002-2003 was Bayer Leverkusen 3-0 win in the Champions League, and of course a 2006-2007 game, which was the last time we played a German opponent, of course, was, of course, Eintracht Frankfurt, drawn, of course, 0-0 in the UEFA Cup, I believe it was. But Newcastle unbeaten in our most recent 15 competitive European home games since a 2-1 loss to Intertoto Cup, of course, against Deportivo La Coruña in 2005. If you don't count the Intertoto Cup, then of course the last time we lost at home in Europe was back in 2002, 2003, when it was a 2-0 loss to Barcelona, of course, at St James's Park. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I know it has been a bit of a long video, this one coming in at just under 16 minutes long. But I wanted to get in my thoughts, of course, on the Sandro Tonali situation as it is currently still ongoing, and also of course, the preview for the game tomorrow against Borussia Dortmund. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I think it will be a very interesting game, of course, against Borussia Dortmund, and I do believe we have every chance of coming away with the win in the bag, and of course, you know, seeing ourselves get a massive boost once again in the Champions League. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Score prediction for this game, if I had to pick one, I'll go Newcastle United to come away 3-0 winners against Borussia Dortmund. Let us know your score predictions down in the comments below. Also remember to hit like, share and subscribe to 100% Mags, as I'm on the road to 2k subscribers. And until next time, I'll see you all later. However, lads.